What's up, guys? Today we're doing a review on the steam turbine. This is current. Today's date is the 11th of April 2015. Alright, I've used almost every atomizer I can think of out there. Just now gotten into Genesis atomizers. I know they're old school, but I wanted to see them for myself. I've been using a dripper for about 3 years. Before that was cartomizers. Between the dripping period, I also tested out K-funds. Didn't really take to them that well until I got the builds correctly. Once I got the builds correctly, the flavor was just amazing. But by far, my favorite atomizer is the Genesis, and I just recently started using them this year. I actually started in December of last year, but I'm considering that this year because it hasn't even been like 4 months since I started Genesis. I have not touched a dripper since. I do not believe in clouds. I believe in flavor. Flavor is what keeps you going. Clouds are just a bonus, you know, a plus. In a Genesis, I can taste everything in my juice. Everything. Right now, I'm actually just vaping Mad Murdoch's Radiant Fluid. It's a strong flavor. It's very strong anise flavor. I know it's green. Guys, please don't comment about, oh, there's food coloring in it. You know, personally, I don't care. You eat food coloring. You ingest food coloring in your cupcakes, you know, your food. It's coloring. You're ingesting it anyways, so how is it different vaping it than eating it, in my opinion? You know, if you eat nicotine, it's poison. It'll kill you, you know? But when you vape it, it doesn't really harm you. It's just addictive. Now, all I gotta say is one thing about food coloring. Get your facts straight. It doesn't really harm you. Now, on this setup, I'm actually running a microcoil. 0.5 ohm, running 22 watts, and it's pushing 3.5 volts. I prefer between 3.5 and 3.7. Usually 3.7 on a Genesis is usually when I start getting a dry hit. Only if my mesh ain't wicking correctly. In fact, I just placed an order for 200 mesh from the mesh company, and also about 165 feet of 28 gauge wire, which I'm hopefully going to receive this sometime this month. But let's get back to the atomizer. 3.5 volts. Oh, also my drip tip is a narrow bore. The reason for the narrow bore, on a Genesis, it increases the flavor by 10-fold. On a wide bore, it mutes my juices so much to where I can almost not even taste them. On a narrow bore on a dripper, it's too hot. So a wider bore is preferred on a dripper or a standard drip tip. I'm using a Sigelli 150 watt box, but I never go over 25 watts. So that's a lot more battery life. I get about 3 days battery life off this setup, and that's chain vaping constantly all day. Also, 1 tank of juice will last me about a day, and it's about 3 milliliters of juice. That's good. Okay, in a K-fun, I'll go through a whole tank in 1 day at 4 milliliters of juice. Actually, I'll probably go through a tank and a half in a K-fun. Yeah, on dripper, oh gosh, let's just say I'll vape half my bottle, so I'd say that's 15 milliliters in a dripper. You're wasting your juice in a dripper. Yes, drippers are fun. Drippers are great. I did them for 3 years. I thought they were the best, and then I switched to Genesis atomizer. The first time I tried a Gen, I was like, no, man, this sucks. It sucks. It really did. I did not know how to build it. I was wrapping my wires wrong. I always got those hot legs. My mesh never wick correctly, and then the flavor was just so muted when I first tried it. But now that I got in the hang of it, and I'm glad I picked these back up. In fact, today I'm actually vaping on the authentic Doc Dave steam turbine, titanium edition with an authentic Sigelli 150 watt, and of course my K-Fun drip tip, which it's a clone drip tip. I'm going to admit that I got it for free. You know, drip tip's a drip tip. I do have one being custom made for me at a 1.5 millimeter hole. I'm expecting the flavor to be even better. It's just the draw is going to be very tight. It's very tight. I don't care. That just means that my coils are just going to stay more saturated inside my Genesis atomizer instead of drying out like instantly or after a long pull being tilted. Nice attempt. Almost got it. As you can see, 3.5 volts, and I'm getting decent vapor production. This is a 50-50 blend at 5 milligrams of nicotine. I usually vape on 10 milligrams of nicotine on Mad Murdoch's radiator fluid. I gotta say one thing, it's my favorite fluid, and I'm sticking to it. I'm gonna stay buying it. It's literally very good to me. It's one of those either you love it or you hate it juices. In fact, this is the bottle for it. Radiator fluid, Mad Murdoch's. It is green. That's only half the coloring. I used cutter to cut it down to 5 milliliters, so that means I had a whole 30 ml bottle of 5 milligrams of nicotine. Also, in fact, I'll show you the cutter. Another juice I want to talk about is the cutter for the Mad Murdoch's radiator fluid. I know you can't see that, it's a little blurry. It's called Genuine Cutter by Mad Murdoch's. It'll reduce the amount of nicotine in your radiator fluid, and it'll actually make the flavor taste a little bit better. I prefer 50-50 blends for one reason. It just wakes a lot better in a Jenny. I just love it. Another juice that I like, but I don't vape this often. This has been steeping for about 2 months. It is 5 Ponds. Where is it? 5 Ponds Black Flag Fallen, and it was bottled on 9/8/14. So actually it's been steeping for 6 months, and it's a 6 milligram nicotine. Actually, you know, it's been steeping for 3 months because it was bottled on 12/1/14. Let me explain some things about this juice. It has a nice flavor. It's good. It tastes like kind of like coffee and chocolate, caramel. I mean, it's a good flavor. It's the closest to a chocolate I've liked so far, but the smell you get from the exhale is just horrible. And by horrible, I mean this is the way I'm going to put it. I can piss in a toilet, leave it in that toilet for 2 days with no water, just to piss, no water for 2 days. You go into that bathroom and open that door, that's what it smells like. It's just that bad. Okay, now it's a good tasting liquid, but the smell that comes off of it is just bad. A lot of places, if you vape that in a lot of places will tell you to get out because it's how it smells. Another liquid that I have recently tried is also another Mad Murdoch's flavor. I'm letting it steep only for one reason. It tastes like flowers, and it's the Agent Orange. Agent Orange, I mean, I can taste a little orange in there, but I think I just need to let it air out for about overnight and let it steep for about 2 weeks. And once it steeps for about 2 weeks, then I should be good to go. I just received this in the mail. I'm actually willing to give it another shot once it's been steeped. I don't know how this flavor is going to end up after it's been steeped, but not many fruits actually taste better after they're steeped. Now, one of my favorite flavors by Five Ponds would be Castle Long. Okay? Castle Long is by far my favorite out of the whole Five Ponds line. I'm actually waiting till August 1st. I believe they're releasing the next batch of Castle Long Reserve. I'm actually going to order me 10 bottles of that. That's about $300 for liquid for just 10 bottles. That's how much I like that stuff. Now, I order radiator fluid on several occasions. I get like 1 bottle every 2 weeks. I'm about to start buying in bulk, you know, so I can just fill up a whole gallon and just let it steep there for about a year. I just heard this Matt Murdock's radiator fluid just doesn't go bad. I know someone buying a bottle that's like steeped for 9 months, and he's paying like over $100 for that 30 ml bottle, or is it like a 15 ml bottle? But he's paying like over $100 for that bottle, because after it steeps for so long, it's just that damn good. Alright. Now, I do want to talk more about the Genesis style tanks. Genesis are better ran with tighter airflow. The reason for that is because the way you're supposed to wrap your coil, it's supposed to be a standard spaced out coil with about 30 to 28 to 32 gauge Kenthal with between 200 and 500 mesh. Now, I'm going to talk about mesh on flavors as well. The flavor on mesh 500, it's good, but the wicking, it's slow. But it's not, it doesn't leak, so that's why I use it. But I literally have to sit there and I'm like waiting. It's a good flavor, outstanding. Alright, now let's talk about 400 mesh. It wicks faster. The flavor is a bit the same, but you want to kind of tighten up your coils, like make them a little more less spaced out. The lower you go, the less spaced out you want your coils to be. 325, you want to build almost a micro coil. But you still want that little tiny gap in between your coils. Make sure your hot legs are fixed, but it wicks incredibly fast. So the tighter your coil is, the hotter it's going to burn, because the ohms are actually lower. Basically, you want the lower in mesh you go, the lower in ohms you go, is what I've realized on Jenny's. Now on 200 mesh, you want to build a micro coil. Believe it or not, it does not mute the flavor on 200 mesh. It wicks extremely fast. I have mine built at a 0.5 ohm, so with 200 mesh, that would be awesome. I mean, the flavor would be spot on, completely bold, and that drip tip would just increase the flavor like amazingly, just amazing. Let me explain to you about dry hits on a Jenny. They suck, okay? You get a dry hit, you're going to be coughing. Just like on cotton, you're going to be coughing. What was it? I wasn't really getting a dry hit from... Oh, silica. Yeah, I wasn't getting a dry hit from silica, but it's just the way it wicks is so weird. It doesn't quite capture the juices like cotton does, and So you're gonna have a leaky dripper or kind of a leaky K-fun if you use silica. A lot of people, well, some people have figured out how to build K-funs with silica and it wicks properly, but it's not. It just distorts the flavor. It ain't there. Cloud production is minimal because it just doesn't wick fast enough. With Japanese cotton, it's really pretty damn quick. Personally, if I run a dripper, I am using this is my wiki. I can keep going all day. I have like over 700 feet of this shit. It is rayon. Okay, I vaped on rayon for a whole year, and my box is barely scratched. I paid $12 for that box at Sally's Beauty Salon. Okay, don't get the cotton one. Get the 100% rayon. It wicks quick. The cotton stays wet. The dry hits are very minimal. So if you have a dry hit, let's just say you're probably going to want to replace your wick, but you got $700. I mean, 700 feet of it. All I gotta say is the flavor's spot on with it. Once broken in and dripped on correctly, the flavor's spot on. I still think my Genesis beats that, but Japanese cotton, I'd say, still beats that in wicking and dry hits, and I'm kind of partial on the round for flavor. Let's see. I think I pretty much covered everything. Let's see. That's pretty much the gear I have, the juices I vape on. Now, I do want to try Kryptonite by Vapaholics. I've been wanting to try that for about a year now, but you know, I'm just so stuck on this fluid that I just don't have the time to order different juices. I've tested around. I've had a lot of juices in my time of vaping, and I'm very partial to the Mad Murdochs and the 5-Punts. 5-Punt is a bit expensive. They're like $27.50 a bottle, and that's just their standard stuff. But their Casalone is really good. There is a new flavor I do want to try the most. In fact, I need to talk about this line. It's from the same website as Mad Murdoch's. It's called VapingWatch.com. Vaping Watch, they have stuff called River Bottom Bog Sauce. Okay, it's about I believe it's a 70-30. I'm not completely sure, or it's a 50-50. I hope it's a 50-50 because in the Genesis it's awesome. But I have this one. It's called Dogwood's Wife is Trippin'. I have not ordered another bottle of this because of one reason. They're all tobacco flavors, yes, but I just don't think I can just use tobaccos consistently enough to buy it more often. Now, I will say this much: they are the best tobacco flavors I've ever had in my vaping life. They're spot on. The Dogwood's Wife is Tripping. It tastes like a cigar. I mean, it tastes exactly like a cigar. I steeped it for about 2 months before I even touched it. And when I had it, at first I was like, okay, it's not that good in a dripper. So I put it aside, and I waited till I got my Genesis. So about 4-5 months later, I got my Genesis. I put that sucker in it. I just couldn't stop vaping it because it reminded me of smoking, but I didn't want to touch an analog. So if I was actually smoking cigarettes while vaping for about 2 of the years. And I've always had thoughts about going back and smoking an actual cigarette. Now, my girlfriend, she smokes cigarettes, so it's kind of hard to stay away from them, but I manage. But until I found Dogwood's Wife is Trippin', I'm like, okay, if I just want to have a cigarette, I'm just gonna fill my tank full of that, you know, because it tastes like a cigarette. I don't have to burn it, put all those nasty chemicals in my lungs. My views on vaping. I'm gonna put this out there. People use sub-ohms below zero point 0.1. Safety, guys. That's all I gotta say. I get a more satisfying vape around 1 ohm on a regulated device. The reason why, I use less watts. I don't have to charge my batteries often. If I build down to a 0.2, I'm charging my batteries every day. Okay? And I get the same vape, same exact flavor, same exact cloud protection at a higher ohm on a regulated device because you have to use less watts. Less watts for the higher the ohm. The reason being is, actually, I am unclear of the reason being for that, but it's weird because I would think the higher the ohms, the more watts, but apparently the thicker the gauge, the less watts you need. You know, it doesn't make sense. I think you'd need more power for a thicker wire, but I guess not. Apparently the thinner wires need more power than the thicker ones. Also, thoughts on vaping. I hear a lot of people complaining about the clone bashers. You know what? The people who bash clones are correct, okay? There shouldn't be clones on the market, in my opinion. In fact, in my opinion, I think a clone should cost just as much as the authentic, because I mean, it's the same damn device, but the authentic's just higher quality. I don't support clones at all. It rips off somebody that has put their sweat and tears into buying a mechanical mod, and it's just, why would you do that? Seriously, what if you made something, you were selling it, someone copies your idea, undercuts you tenfold, and sells their product, making you lose business and eventually going out of business? How would you feel about that? You'd be probably pretty damn pissed, wouldn't you? That is the reason why I do not support clones, is due to the copyright, and I mean the authentics are victimized because their product is sold less because the clones are taking over the market. This is why I buy authentics only, and I will only buy authentics. I've had bought clothes in the past because I wasn't really, you know, I didn't know about all the market shit, but now I do, and that's why I'm on authentics, because I'm actually supporting the guys who originally made the device. Because when I first started on vaping, I didn't even know what a clone authentic was until later on down the road. What else can I cover? Chargers. Yes, chargers. You want a good charger? Get one of these. It's a Nightcore. LED screen, 4 bay. If I ever see people that have those cheap ass little chargers that are like 2 bay and they don't charge worth the shit, I usually slap them in the face and I'm like, you could have bought a better charger for almost the same exact damn price. Nightcore makes one of the best. It tells you what the volts are as it's charging. Oh no, amps, I believe. I'm not sure. Okay. Ohm meters. Guys, I know a lot of people just don't like using ohm meters. A lot of people can guess what the ohm of the coil is just because they built it long enough. But here's what I view on ohm meters. Now, you can build that same dang coil over and over and over, but you know why I use an ohm meter? I'm just like you. I know exactly what ohm it's going to be. But the reason why I use my ohm reader, one, it's a base. I can easily build it without accidentally firing my mod. Also, it can basically tell you if it has a short. Because if you know that coil is going to be that ohm, that specific ohm, and it's reading completely different, that means your atomizer has a short in it. That means you're going to have to find where that short is and fix it. That's why you need an ohm reader. It's the safest way to vape. You don't have to worry about shorts, coils popping. You know, an experienced vapor would know how to control that, even if they don't have an ohm reader. But if you're not experienced, please get one. Don't blow your hand off using a mechanical mod. Know your ohms. Know the power you need to supply these atomizers. I see another thing I want to rate. Another thing I want to talk about, and I don't like people doing this. Personally, I don't care what you do, but don't ruin it for us. It's people vaping over a certain volt. 4.2 volt. It's about the prime point and the highest you want to go. You go above that, you're causing formaldehyde, because a lot of these liquids have these artificial flavors, and above 4.2 volts starts producing formaldehyde. Okay? Formaldehyde is actually it's a toxic chemical that will make you really sick, or actually worse, death. So don't do it. In a dripper, you might be able to get away with it just because of the airflow, but you need a lot of airflow, and you know, I don't like doing this. Alright, I'm done taking it, the hit, because my lungs can't support it anymore. You know, you don't need too much airflow. The more airflow, the faster you got it. Breathe it in. That's why I like more constricted airflows. $5 milligram nicotine. Satisfying too. I know this is going to be a boring video at the end, but a lot of good. I'm out. I got nothing else to say. All I gotta say is, guys, just stay safe. Vape correctly. You know, I covered flavors. I covered what different devices that produce what kind of flavors. You know what I mean, like what's stronger flavor than others. Genesis beats them in my opinion. It's so clean, crisp. Flavors are more pronounced when the device is built correctly. I do not know many builds for this device. I'm still experimenting, so I'm expecting more flavor in the future. But you guys, just stay safe. Vape correctly. Don't ruin it for all of us. They want these things banned. And y'all have a great day.